So Vince Coglianese is a radio talk show host on WMAL Washington, D.C. Vince, good morning. Great to have you. We'll dive right in. Trump has a very firm base, as you know. DeSantis running on a strong record. Pence and Christie don't appear to have much of a chance at this stage, if polling's any indication. So why do you think they're jumping in now?
Well, I think Pence genuinely wants to be president of the United States, and he's hoping to carve out some sort of lane for himself. And Pence kind of represents this thinking of, well, maybe we can get the Republican Party back to what it was before Trump. But I would caution against that, because I don't think voters really want that. I don't think they want a kind of a return to the status quo, because the status quo is what brought us Donald Trump in the first place. Donald Trump was about as big of a rejection in the status quo in America as you could possibly get. And now with Chris Christie jumping in, I think that's a little bit different. I think Pence wants to run to be president. I think Chris Christie wants to run to take down Trump. I think that's his goal. He's joining this race as a prosecutor, as somebody who wants to stand up on the debate stage and try and aggressively tell the voter that they should not be supporting Donald Trump. Remember, Chris Christie did this against Marco Rubio back in 2016 with some success. I've heard others kind of compare Christie's role to maybe Tulsi Gabbard going on stage and taking down Kamala Harris's bid to become president. She would, of course, become vice president under Joe Biden. And maybe Christie does serve that role in this cycle. But Christie has not shied away from saying that he has a lot of contempt for Trump and he wants to run against him. But in the process, it's very unlikely you win a Republican primary attacking Trump and, by extension, his base.
Okay, so that's interesting. As a follow-up, do you believe this widening field is only going to be helping former President Donald Trump?
Definitely. And I think Donald Trump thinks that, too, because you've noticed that almost every candidate who's jumped into the race, he's issued a statement welcoming them to the race or expressed it on Truth Social. The only guy he's really spent any meaningful time attacking, even before he was a candidate, was Ron DeSantis. And that's because it's as obvious as anything that Trump views him as the only legitimate threat in this race. Now, there's some good news for Trump. There was a Yahoo poll that came out this past week that indicated that since DeSantis's announcement, Trump has actually gained some distance from Ron DeSantis nationally. But of course, remember, presidential politics, not a national game. It comes down to those early states. It comes down to the Electoral College. And especially in this primary, it's about Iowa, it's New Hampshire, it's those early states. And that's where those two men are going to spend a lot of time fighting it out in the months ahead. Do
you believe, Vince, that these are just VP bids, so to speak? I know you mentioned that Vice President Pence, former, is really looking for the top spot. But in terms of these other candidates who are polling very low, we know it's very early. Do you think that is the mission?
I do. I think it's a combination of things. I think sometimes, as you often see, like a vanity project. I don't know why Asa Hutchinson's trying to jump into this race, but there he is. You've got guys like Vivek Ramaswamy, the tech entrepreneur. He's interesting. That might be a vice presidential bid. He's obviously polling relatively low. The other piece, and I've talked to Vivek a lot, is that I think he's trying to influence the agenda for the Republican Party. So some of these guys are issues candidates. They want to basically force these issues to be a part of the national conversation and on the debate stage. And the end of this process could result in an improved Republican presidential candidate.
All right, we'll hope so. Vince Coglianese, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.